class. They wouldn't give up the territorial claims that kept Russia in World War I. The provisional government did not come out for expropriating the bosses, and the provisional government couldn't even carry out land reform. The overthrow of Tsarism was greeted with popular acclaim. The loss of effective state authority gave the public unprecedented freedoms of assembly and expression, and resulted in the establishment of new newspapers, of political organizations, of new trade unions, and other institutions of civil society. However, on the main burning question of Russia's continued participation in World War I and land reform, the government either confided itself to setting up committees to study the question, or deferred any decision to a future convocation of a constituent assembly. It's easy to see that this relative inaction fatally undermined the provisional government. And months passed, and by October 25, 1917, the growth of the Bolshevik Party had led Russian workers and peasants into a new phase of the revolution. This was under the slogan of "All power to the Soviets." On October 25th, the Second All-Russian Congress of Soviets met and created the Soviet government. After a nearly bloodless takeover, the Bolsheviks became the new leaders of Russia. Almost immediately, Lenin announced that the new regime would end the war, abolish all private land ownership, and would create a system for workers' control of factories. In December 1917, only weeks after seizing state power, the Bolsheviks abolished the Tsarist anti-gay law. They legalized abortion. The Bolsheviks provided maternity leave to new mothers. They lifted the onerous restrictions on divorce. The Bolsheviks legally recognized children born outside of marriage. This act of expunging the superstructure of egregious laws was of a political character. It demonstrated the revolutionary direction and goals of the Bolsheviks under Lenin's leadership. However, these Tsarist laws had been a codification of the inequality that was institutionalized in the semi-feudal, semi-imperial class relationship in the economy and in Russian society itself. So the revolutionary work of transforming the social structure had just begun. Soviet rule was established, and within decades, massive programs combating illiteracy, unhygienic behavior, homelessness, and much more were launched by the new working class state. By 1938, 21 years of Soviet rule, brought about by a massive people's revolution in 1917, had produced 50% reduction in child mortality rates. As a direct result of the Russian Revolution, the height of the average Soviet child in 1938 was 1¼ inches greater than that of the average child that lived at the time of Tsarist Russia. As a direct result of the Russian Revolution, the weight of the average Soviet child was 11½ pounds greater in 1937 than in 1925. The Russian Revolution was directly responsible for the massive drop in communicable diseases, and incidence of tuberculosis decreased 83% under Soviet rule, up till 1938, and continued to decrease after that. Cases of syphilis decreased 90% by 1938. The death rate in 1937 in the USSR was 40% below the death rate in Russia in 1913, implying a much higher life expectancy. This was a direct result of the Russian Revolution. Russian life expectancy increased from 32 years of age in 1913 to 63 years of age in 1956. The trend continued into the 1960s, when the life expectancy in the Soviet Union surpassed the life expectancy within the United States. And I just thought that this was a cool picture from like a beach party in the Soviet Union. And that concludes my Russian Revolution lecture. Thank you.